My boyfriend felt that I was not a good match. He turned around and got together with the daughter of a wealthy family. He said to me, "Isabella, don't be so selfish. Get out of my way. I want to pursue a better life. Please don't look for me anymore. I'll send a message again." I found that he had already blocked me. I looked at the table and saw the haute couture watch, designer suit, luxury car keys, and employment offer from a big company that I had prepared for him. I shrugged helplessly. "You don't want such a good opportunity. What kind of future do you want?" I was going to see which girl had such a low standard of taste, that she would even fancy him. But when I looked more closely at his official announcement photo, the more I looked, the more I felt something was wrong. The figure of this girl, it looked so much like the daughter of my family's maid. I tossed and turned all night. I couldn't figure out what Alexander really wanted. I slept until the next day in a daze. I was woken by the sound of the door opening. I opened the door to find Alexander and his new girlfriend, Sophia, standing there. It was a bad way to start the morning. My face fell. I turned to close the door, but Alexander got there first and blocked it. He took Sophia by the hand and quickly led her inside. They sat down on the sofa without any courtesy. It was as if what had happened yesterday, when he had deleted his friend and immediately replaced him, was none of his business. Last night, when I saw Alexander's official announcement in his circle of friends, my heart sank. Today, when he came back, not only did he not give me any explanation, he even brought a girl straight to the house. This kind of behavior made me lose the last bit of affection I had for him. "What's going on? You deleted your friend, posted it on your Moments, and now you have to bring your new love interest here to hang out." I leaned against the door and glared at him angrily. "Isabella, why are you talking like that? What's wrong with me going back to where I live? I pay part of the rent for this place, don't I, by the way? Since you already know that I've broken up with you, and I'm now with Sophia, shouldn't you be getting ready to move out?" Alexander is sitting on the sofa. He's got his arm around Sophia. He crosses his legs and speaks to me. Sophia is leaning against him. She looks very dependent. "Paying rent? That's ridiculous." I almost laughed at his cheeky words. "How dare you mention this? The rent is 200 yuan per month. When have you ever paid it on time? Occasionally paying a few hundred yuan for water bills. You can also say that you have paid part of the rent." What a crooked way of looking at things. Alexander obviously did not expect me to confront him directly. A hint of panic shone in his eyes. He glanced at Sophia first. Then he glared at me and said, "You remember every penny." My mother was right. "You're a money-grubbing gold digger. Isn't it normal for couples to spend money on each other? Why are you being so petty? Anyway, I found this apartment. Since we're breaking up, you can move out." At that, Sophia spoke softly. "Isabella, I know you're feeling bad right now, but a breakup should be clean. Don't make things difficult for Alexander. If you have trouble moving your things, we can call a taxi for you. I'll pay for it." Really, some people have no sense of propriety. No wonder they get along so well. I took a few deep breaths to calm myself down. Then I called the property manager and asked him to bring the security guard over. I told them, "Don't pretend with me. One cheated. The other was the third party. There's no need to pretend. This is my home. If you don't leave when the security guards arrive, things will get ugly." Alexander didn't care at all. He even picked up the fruit on my coffee table and started eating it. "What do you mean, your home, my home? Didn't we both rent this place? You've already broken up. You're still living here. That's not appropriate." His words made me laugh. After a while, Alexander and Sophia were led out of the house by a few security guards. I stood at the door, smiling as I watched them. Alexander tried hard to break free from the security guard's hands. He kept explaining in his mouth. Sophia walked straight ahead with her back straight. From time to time, she straightened her little fragrant suit, but her back still looked a bit flustered. This house was originally mine. When Alexander and I first graduated and were looking for a house, it so happened that the few apartments we looked at were all in this neighborhood. So I volunteered to let him rent this one. I paid the rent up front. I thought we could figure out how to split the cost later, but I never imagined that from the time we moved in together until we broke up. He never offered to pay me back a single penny, and he never once wondered how I managed to afford the thousands of dollars a month if I hadn't been in a financially stable situation. I can only imagine how difficult it would have been for another girl. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, so I called a few domestic helpers. I packed up all of Alexander's things and threw them in front of the door. 2 days later, I went back to school to deal with the internship for some reason. On the way back to the dormitory, I felt like there were a lot of people watching me with curious eyes. I pushed open the dormitory door and greeted my roommates as usual, but they pretended not to hear me and ignored me. "What's going on? Why are you so cold?" I said half-jokingly. My roommate, Emily, gave a cold snort. She pushed my hand away. "Don't touch me. I'm afraid of being infected. I really didn't expect this. We've lived together for so long. You're actually like this." They had strange expressions on their faces. "Hurry up and close the curtain. They're ignoring me." Olivia couldn't bear to. She secretly sent me a WeChat message. "Isabella, go and have a look at the school forum. Girls should know how to protect themselves." I was a little curious and clicked on it. What did it say? Revealing the extreme side of a goddess Isabella. "Recently, there have been a lot of negative posts about me at school. Everyone is talking about me and Alexander breaking up, and the fact that I'm still living at his place. Some people even say I'm a dog licker. What a twisted behavior. Some say I pursued Alexander, hounded him, refused to break up, and refused to leave the rented house. These rumors are going viral. They say I'm stubborn and selfish. I appear to be high and mighty, but in reality, I'm a person without dignity." Along with this post, some slanderous comments about me have also appeared on the forum, although the college and names have been replaced with code names. It's obvious. The person they're discussing is me. Of course I know. These fabricated things must be Alexander and Sophia using a pseudonym to maliciously slander me. I find it quite laughable. They have been putting on airs for so long, they even believe their own lies. She, Sophia, really thinks of herself as a princess. Lies will always be exposed. How will she end up? Right now, I regret even more pestering my father to get Alexander that position. At the time, my father reminded me that I was so impulsive and gullible. I never thought something would really go wrong so soon. I listened to him. I was still a little resentful. I had a few words with him, and I'm still not over it. This is the first time I've ever been the subject of rumors. I hesitated whether to tell my father, to get his advice, but I thought about the argument we had the other day, and I decided not to. If he found out that his beloved daughter was in such a mess, he would definitely be furious. I don't think it would be a problem for me to post a clarification. After packing my things, I posted a clarification post on the campus forum, briefly explaining the whole situation. I didn't intend to get involved in the affairs of this man and woman, but their actions did affect me. I had to respond in some way, unexpectedly. As soon as I posted the post, it was like a stone thrown into the water. There was no reaction at all. When I refreshed the page, I found that even the original post had been deleted. This made me feel that something was a bit off. I was wondering what was going on when Sophia sent me a text message. She asked me to meet her at a cafe. When I entered the cafe, I saw that she was dressed up nicely. She blinked at me with her big eyes. "Isabella, are you still hung up on Alexander? You look exhausted. Don't pretend to be nice. What do you want to tell me?" "Isabella, I'm not interested in your love affairs, and you're spreading rumors about me. You'd better give me an explanation." "Isabella, don't put on airs. What can an ordinary student like you offer Alexander? I helped him get an internship at Thompson Group. Can you do the same? Sometimes ordinary people really can't compete with those with resources. You'd better stop pestering me. That's strange. How can my father's company just let anyone in? I begged him for a long time and it was no use." I took a sip of coffee. I said calmly, "Don't pretend. Thompson Group has such good conditions. How could you just arrange for someone to get in, unless you are the boss's daughter?" She had exquisite makeup on, with a hint of disdain on her face. She said contemptuously, "I'm sorry. I really am the Thompson Group's daughter. The reason I reminded you like that just now is because I have the backing. Now everyone is looking for a job through internships. If you don't want to get into trouble in this regard, it's best not to mess with us." How dare someone claim to be the daughter of a big boss in front of the real person? I pinched my thigh hard. I held back from laughing, but I couldn't hold back. I almost spilled coffee on Sophia. I really didn't want to listen to her, and I couldn't get her to admit that she was spreading rumors. I didn't bother to talk to her anymore. I just turned around and left the cafe. The next morning, I just woke up and turned on my phone. I was immediately greeted by a barrage of messages on the campus forum. The screen was full of accusations and curses. I spent a long time going through the dense messages. Finally, I found a post. In the video, Sophia's clothes were covered in coffee stains. There were obvious marks on her face from the slap. Her makeup was in disarray. Tears were in her eyes. She told everyone what had happened. She had wanted to kindly advise Isabella to let go of the past out of the shadow of her broken heart. But instead, Isabella poured coffee all over her and slapped her. I was really shocked. I never expected her to do that. It's something I've never experienced before. I was wondering if I should ask my dad for help, whether I should hold Isabella responsible. But my dad is very busy at work. He has a lot on his plate at Thompson Group. Sometimes I can't even find him in the CEO's office. This remark also hinted at her background. She was wearing a sweet dress. She had a pitiful expression on her face. She was in tears as she recounted her experience of being bullied. She also expressed concern for the emotions and state of mind of the person who had hit her. She looked exactly like a kind-hearted young lady who had been well protected by her family. No wonder a group of angry netizens accused me in private messages on my personal account. Everyone really felt for this kind and gentle rich girl. Actually, this kind of information doesn't affect me at all. I understand the passion and sincerity of young people at this stage. They think the world is black and white. When they encounter injustice, they will stand up bravely. They just don't understand the full picture of things. I was reading some malicious private messages. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door urgently. I got up to open the door. I saw it was Alexander. As soon as he entered, he yelled at me, "Isabella, what do you want?" Yes, I didn't talk to you about breaking up properly, but think about it yourself. You're just an ordinary college student. How can you compare with the Thompson Group's daughter? What can you give me? You can't stop me from pursuing my own future. Can you? You're being selfish. What are you doing now? Sophia tried to comfort you. She tried to talk some sense into you, but you hit her. Have you considered the consequences? She's the Thompson Group's daughter. You want to be unemployed after graduation. You've offended the Thompson Group. You want to continue to work in this industry. I watched him yell at me. I saw the veins bulge on his neck from the excitement. Suddenly, I felt sick. We had been together for more than 3 years. He had never lost control like that before. Now he seemed like a different person. He was so anxious that he came to my home to scold me. You believe whatever she says. You unilaterally broke up with me. You didn't even apologize. Now you don't even know the whole story, and you come to me to lecture me. Really? Alexander saw that I had no intention of apologizing. He became even more angry. He waved his hand, and the picture frame on the cabinet fell to the ground with a crash. How else can I trust you? You know Sophia is very angry right now. I advise you to go and apologize to her, no matter what it takes. Otherwise, if her father, the boss, finds out, you'll be in trouble. I may even lose my job. Do you know how capable she is? Do you understand an internship at Thompson Group is a rare opportunity? If I get in, I might be able to stay there. If you make Sophia unhappy or anger her father, we'll both be finished. I never thought he would go around worrying about how it would affect his work. The more I talked to him, the more I felt that all the affection and effort I had put into him over the past 3 years had been wasted. His image in my eyes also became increasingly poor. I no longer wanted to talk to him at all. I just opened the door and let him leave. He is very unstable right now. Even I, who have been with him for more than 3 years, am a little worried that he might do something extreme. It would be best to get him to leave quickly. Alexander saw that I was firm in my attitude. He angrily kicked the door a few times. The echoes in the empty corridor were deafening. He refused to give up. He wanted to continue talking to me. It is illegal to enter someone's home without permission. Suddenly, a boy appeared at the door. He was staring at Alexander. "Excuse me, you were arguing so loudly. I could hear some of it. Since you have broken up, please be kind to the girl. Otherwise, as a neighbor, I may have to call the police or the property management." Alexander's face changed from one expression to another. Perhaps he remembered the last time I called the security guard to get him to leave. He didn't say a word. He hurriedly left. I was a little wary of this suddenly appearing neighbor. Holding the doorknob, I took a few steps back. "Sorry, I don't mean any harm. I'm also a student at S University. I know you. There have been a lot of posts about you on the forum these days. I've read a few of them too." After my emotions calmed down, he spoke again. "I have a student ID. It can prove that I am not a bad person. I was just about to go home. I heard the sound in your room was a bit loud. I was worried that something had happened, so I came here without permission. When I saw the student ID he handed over, my vigilance eased a little. Thank you. That was my ex. We had a bit of a quarrel. It affected you. I'm sorry." He smiled and said, "I understand. Your business. It's been making the rounds on the school forum lately. Isabella, aren't you going to do something about the comments on the forum? They might not be very friendly to girls. I'm Nathaniel. I live next door. If you need anything, you can find me." After he introduced himself, I was relieved. I thanked him with a smile for helping me out just in time. I said, "I'm sorry you had to see that, but I have a clear conscience. I'll take care of it next. Thank you for coming to my aid just now. Actually, I was quite scared just now." He smiled. It seemed like he wanted to say something, but after hesitating for a while, he didn't say anything. His eyes were a little confused. He stared at somewhere on the ground in a daze. I secretly looked at him. I found that he had delicate facial features. His eyes were especially beautiful. They were like a deep pool. If you looked at them for a long time, you felt like you would be attracted into them. The sunlight shone on his face. The hair on his face was clearly visible. You can't help but want to reach out and touch them. Classmate Isabella. Actually, the cafe where you met Sophia that day, I own it. You may not believe it, but it is indeed the result of my first entrepreneurial venture. I can show you the relevant proof. What I want to say is, I have surveillance footage. I've seen it. So I know very well that those posts are framing you. What a coincidence. Just when you need a break, someone brings you a pillow. I was just about to contact the cafe I wanted to communicate with him to get the surveillance footage. Unexpectedly, the guy from the apartment across the street came to the door. If what he said was true, then it was quite a coincidence. I didn't quite believe that a stranger I had just met would help me unconditionally, so I suggested going to the store with him to talk about it in detail. The wind chimes on the door jingled as we entered, leaving behind a string of pleasant sounds. Nathaniel led me straight to the private room. On the way, several waiters took the initiative to greet him. This scene made it feel even more real. The interior of this shop is quite tasteful. The small room is decorated in a very girly way. It is full of cute little decorations and bright flowers. After sitting down, Nathaniel ordered 2 lattes. Then he got straight down to business. It turned out that after I left that day, Sophia sat alone at her seat for a few minutes. She looked very agitated. After a while, she suddenly picked up her coffee and splashed it on her jacket. Then she let her hair down to cover her face. She took off her jacket and held it in her hands. She left in a hurry. Later, I saw this on the surveillance footage Nathaniel gave me. At the time, I was browsing the forum casually, and I saw that post. Since Sophia mentioned the name of the store, I was curious, so I went back to the store and watched the surveillance footage. It turned out that it was actually a play she put on herself. Although I'm not sure about the specific conflict between you two, but I can't accept this kind of behavior that exploits people's sense of justice. So I'm also looking for the other party, Isabella. I didn't expect such a coincidence. She lives right across the street from me. It's really quite a coincidence. I guess even God couldn't stand by and watch me silently endure it. I copied the video. Thank you so much for your help. I'll take you to dinner sometime. I stood in the doorway with the USB drive, waving at Nathaniel, because I had obtained important evidence. My mood lightened considerably. My smile became more natural and sincere. I went home, lying on the bed. I began to recall the strange things that had happened during this period of time. I never imagined that she would do so much to frame me. I thought about it carefully. Although we were in the same class, we hardly interacted with each other. It could even be said that we had no contact. She also had no idea about my background. Why would she target me like this? I couldn't understand it, but her actions were indeed a bit excessive. I can't accept her repeated smearing and slander. Since I have evidence, it's time to respond. We are both girls. Her mother, Sophia's mother, has also worked at our house for a long time. Seeing as how Sophia's mother usually takes care of the housework seriously, I don't want to go too far. I only plan to make the evidence public, make a clarification. After processing the video, I edited a text. It details what happened these days. I was going to post it on the forum. I clicked to submit the post, but the system told me I was banned for 90 days. I thought it was just an accident when my last post was deleted, but this time, I was actually prevented from speaking. Someone must have interfered behind the scenes. I contacted a few of my close friends at school, but none of them knew anyone at the school media center, so the matter just got stuck there. I was lying on my bed, feeling lost. I was torn between contacting my father or not. Then my phone suddenly received a message from Nathaniel. He sent a message. "Remember to share the post when you post it. I'll go up and upvote it for you." The message didn't go through. My account had been banned. I always feel like someone's messing with me. I typed this out angrily, threw my phone onto the bed, rolled over a few times, fell asleep in the warm afternoon sun. I woke up and opened my phone. I found that Nathaniel had sent me nearly 20 messages while I was asleep. He had already contacted the head of the school media center on my behalf. explaining the situation I was in. And incidentally, he also brought back some new information. I read it all. I gained a new understanding of Sophia's behavior. It turned out that Sophia had an affair with the deputy director of the school media center. She was the one who instructed him to delete my posts and block my account. As the person involved, I was all the more afraid to speak up. The earlier rumors about me seemed more and more plausible. She had seized on this. She wanted me to shut up and to make my reputation at school worse and worse. Nathaniel knows someone at the school media center. He has now helped me to get my account back. After thanking Nathaniel again, I quickly got up from bed. I quickly opened my computer and posted. I had been patient before, whether it was Sophia's impersonation and fraud, or Alexander's infidelity, or even the posts on the forum. I didn't think they would have a big impact. I could just ignore them, but that doesn't mean I will keep silent forever. I carefully reviewed what had happened over the past period of time, from Alexander's unilateral breakup and his quick start of a new relationship, to Sophia's 2 fabrications of rumors to discredit me and her self-directed performance. I wrote a detailed article and attached various evidence regarding Sophia's fake identity, considering her reputation. I did not mention it for the time being. Nathaniel also gave me Sophia's social media accounts. After posting the clarification post, I took a look. Unexpectedly, she has attracted quite a few followers online under the title of Thompson Group's daughter. She posts pictures of designer handbags, shoes, and her luxury home. She shares her luxurious life. The comments are mostly full of praise and envy. Where does she get all those designer things? From me, of course. Since I moved into the dormitory when I started university, I don't go home much. My parents are busy every day. There's rarely anyone at home. Sophia's mother is the nanny who lives in my house full-time. Sophia probably went to see Sophia's mother and used my home as a source of material. Seeing so many posts flaunting wealth, I didn't know what to do. I simply ignored it. I started browsing the campus forum. The post I posted has gone viral. Every time I refresh, I can see hundreds of new comments. Now everyone's opinion has changed. While criticizing Alexander and Sophia, they praise me for speaking coherently. Those who have insulted me online before have all sent me new messages again. They sincerely apologized. The deputy director of the school media outlet must have seen the post as well. This time, he definitely won't help Sophia keep me quiet as he did before. He has been courting Sophia for a while. Not only does he help her with various things, he also spends a lot of money on her. But Sophia's attitude towards him has always been unpredictable. After seeing the powerful evidence I listed in the post, he may finally understand. So he went to confront Sophia. At that moment, his phone vibrated. It was Alexander calling. I guessed what he might do. I was worried that he would come to my house again, so I quickly contacted Nathaniel. Nathaniel was at the store. After receiving my message, he said he would come to my house immediately to pick me up. He said, "If you want to talk things over face-to-face, it's best to choose a public place. There are witnesses if there are a lot of people. I can also protect your safety." After sitting down in the shop, Alexander noticed that I couldn't get through on the phone. He immediately sent me an invitation for a face-to-face meeting. I'm still thinking about when and where to meet. I haven't replied yet. Suddenly, the wind chimes on the shop door jingled. It turned out to be Sophia pushing the door open. "Isabella, come out for a second. I want to talk to you." She was completely different from her usual gentle and lovely self. The fierce expression on her face made her look a bit intimidating. She shouted at the top of her voice. There was nothing ladylike about her. When she saw me, she came over in a few steps. She slapped the table in front of me. Even the small spoon in the porcelain dish shook and made a crisp sound. Perhaps the shout had sobered her up a little. Sophia's emotions calmed down a bit. She questioned, "What gave you the right to post that Alexander and I are in a relationship? We haven't done anything illegal. Why do you have to make our private matters public? Don't you believe it? I have ways to deal with you. Do you really think what you did was right? You spread rumors about me online and interfered in my relationship with my boyfriend. Why are you afraid to say these things?" Sophia's face turned pale, but she still refused to admit defeat. Her words became increasingly incoherent. "Alexander has long wanted to break up with you. He says that the longer he stays with you, the more indifferent he feels. My family can give him more support. It will show him a bigger world. If he doesn't choose me, who else will he choose? Most people would choose to be with me. She's been acting for so long. She's become so immersed in her role. It's hard for her to extricate herself. If she hadn't suddenly attacked me, I might really have been fooled. I would have thought she was a difficult young lady. I stood up. I looked Sophia straight in the eye. She flinched for a moment. Then she stared back at me even more determinedly. Even I had to admire her courage. Sophia, let me be clear. I'm talking about you posting false information to slander me, and about you meddling in other people's relationships. As for whether I'm loved, that's not important. Don't even try to change the subject. Everyone is responsible for their own actions. The evidence is all there. You and Alexander both cheated on your partners and quickly found new lovers. One of you was having an affair with someone else. You two really do make a good match. And aren't you the Thompson Group's little princess? You know best. Even if you try to pretend and create a good image, a fake is still a fake. Sophia was obviously panicking. She didn't argue with me anymore. She just tidied her hair and quickly left the cafe. In the next few days, she didn't come to school. Meanwhile, the number of posts about us on the campus forum gradually decreased. Everyone started paying attention to other more interesting topics. However, there were still a few posts discussing what happened between us. Some students had quite unique opinions. Sophia did spread rumors and did quite a few outrageous things, but she is the Thompson Group's eldest daughter. No matter what, her father will support her. I support this view. To be honest, compared to a rich and beautiful girl, I would definitely choose the rich beauty who can give me a better life. Look at the photos she posted online recently. Her family background is really impressive. The painting that appeared in one of her selfies is actually a real masterpiece. In that case, Sophia's social media accounts should still be updated. I went up and took a look at the photos she posted recently. I found that she has become even more ostentatious. She even posted her father's collection. If this continues, she will sooner or later be ruined by her own vanity. I felt that I couldn't just ignore it. I planned to go home sometime, early in the morning on the weekend. I took a taxi home. This time I didn't call the driver in advance. I just wanted to give Sophia a surprise. After arriving home, I ran directly to the second floor, entered my room. As soon as the door opened, Sophia was wearing my nightdress. She sat up dazedly, looking towards the door. When she realized it was me, her eyes widened. She asked in surprise, "Isabella, why are you here? What are you doing here?" Her sleepy expression suddenly vanished and she became tense. Seeing her like this, I couldn't help but laugh. I went back to my own home, entered my own room, and didn't have to explain to anyone what my intentions were. "Sophia, young lady," I smiled at her. Sophia looked surprised. It was as if her mind couldn't process what she was seeing. It took her a while to come back to her senses. Half believing, she asked, "Is this really your home? You're the daughter of the Thompson Group boss?" I gave her a more sincere smile. It was me, Sophia. That's why I said, "Who are you really? Only you know best." A persona built on lies and vanity is really fragile. She suddenly woke up and jumped up from the bed. She fumbled around trying to tidy up the messy room. "Don't waste your energy. Since you chose to lie, you have to bear the consequences. You broke into my home many times, taking pictures of my room's furnishings, and flaunting my luxury home and car, using my home as a tool to build your image. No one could stand this. But I really didn't expect you to be so bold. You even had the nerve to move in. I've already had your mother's things packed up. She's been fired. You don't have to do anything now. Please leave my house immediately." Her back was straight, but now it's suddenly bent. She never dared to look me in the eye. She walked out of the room without saying a word, head down. Then I heard the door open and close. I walked around the room a few times, thinking about which household items needed replacing. In the end, I returned to my little house. I had bought it and left it empty. I happened to meet Alexander, so I rented it out. Now it had gradually become a place where I often stayed. Today, I rarely returned to my own home, but I really couldn't stand being in a room that someone else had messed up. I stayed in the cabin for a few days. I bought new furniture one after the other. I tidied the room up completely. After that, I decided to go back and take a look. From a distance, I saw a familiar figure pacing back and forth in front of the entrance. It looked very uneasy. It was Alexander. He also saw me. His face showed an expression like he had seen a savior. I got out of the car and walked quickly to the door. He hurried up to meet me. "Isabella, so you are the Thompson Group's daughter." I looked at him coldly, without saying a word. He still smiled sincerely at me, anxiously saying, "Isabella, I mistook someone for you before. I was fooled by Sophia's sweet words. I have nothing to do with her now." My heart just wandered off for a moment. "But you are still the one I love the most." Don't be angry. Okay, let's start over. I will treat you well. As soon as he said this, I understood what he was thinking. He thought Sophia was richer. He thought he could get more help by following her. So he didn't hesitate to abandon me. Now that he knows my true identity, he has the nerve to come back and beg for reconciliation. He says he's sincere, but he still wants to take advantage of me. This kind of trick can't fool even a child. He thinks I'm so stupid. That's why I believed his lies again. Yes, Sophia pretended to be me and fell in love with you. In fact, I am the daughter of the owner of Thompson Group. I had arranged a great internship for you in the heart of the company. Once the internship was over, I was going to ask my father to keep you on. You would have been right at the heart of Thompson Group management. But you let me down. How could you just leave me? You know how much that hurt. I was so sad. I blamed him for it. You were so close. You could have had it all. But you chose to leave me. You really didn't love me enough. I was going to give you that little house as another birthday present if you didn't like it. I had other properties to choose from, but you went off with another girl without saying a word. The more I talk, the further away I get. I draw a lot of beautiful pictures of the future. Alexander's face gradually brightens. His joy is completely hidden. It's all written on his face. He says confidently, "My father's company will definitely be taken over by me in the future. After we get married, I'll leave everything to you. You'll be in charge." He got more and more excited as he spoke. He even tried to take my hand. It was as if he was already sure that I would get back together with him. I just felt disgusted. I didn't want to have any physical contact with him at all, so I took a few steps back, and I slapped him hard twice. "Isabella, if slapping me a few times can make you calm down quickly, then go ahead and slap me a few more times. We'll live happily ever after." Alexander covers his face. His face is already red. He opens his mouth. It seems like he wants to say something. "Alexander, don't pretend. This is not a dump. There is no recycling here. Don't take me for a fool. Hurting me and then asking for forgiveness. I've never seen that before. You want to live happily ever after. I think you're attracted to my status." What I just said sounded pretty appealing, didn't it? You're a little tempted, aren't you, thinking about pleasing me? And all these benefits will be yours in the future. No good will come of insincerity. You think I'll change my mind just because you said a few nice things. Who was it that was charmed by what I just said? Hurry up and leave. If you don't leave, I'll scream. Something that doesn't fit should stay where it belongs. Don't come out and make people uncomfortable. I don't look at him again. I walk straight past him. He covers his face. He looks lost. I go inside. I tell the housekeeper to get rid of him. Don't let him hang around the house. I see Nathaniel again. It's more than a week later. By then, things have calmed down. We sit facing each other in a cafe. Nathaniel smiles and asks me, "How have you been?" His eyes are full of genuine concern. I reply, "Not bad. I've been busy with my internship. They've also quieted down, overall. It's been pretty good. I've also read the forum posts. The negative comments have disappeared. Everyone can tell right from wrong. It won't affect you anymore. Don't worry about insignificant people. And don't doubt yourself. Isabella, you're a very good girl. Alexander just doesn't notice." I smiled at Nathaniel. His thoughts were obvious. If he didn't have a crush on me, who would go out of their way to help me again and again? I thought back to when I had just broken up with my boyfriend. I was in a depressed state. The entrance was full of garbage. I guess he helped clean it up too. I was a little curious. When did he notice me? And when did he secretly like me? Slowly entering my life. "Nathaniel, you have a crush on me. I don't like beating around the bush. I'll just ask." He paused for a moment, then he laughed. "I knew you were smart. It didn't take long to notice. When did I first notice Isabella? She came into the store a lot. But the day I really remembered her was on a rainy day. It was raining heavily. It wasn't a heavy rain, but it was annoying. She rushed into the store with a bouquet of roses. Her face was beaming with happiness. The delicate roses were still dripping with raindrops. Her hair was also wet from the rain. She held the roses in her arms, carefully looking for the best angle to take a photo. The camera captured the moment she smiled, and it also captured his heart. From then on, he began to pay special attention to the customers in the store. As time passed, he saw many different versions of her. There was the version of her hugging a computer, rushing to finish an assignment. There was the version of her during revision week, who came to the store with books but fell asleep. And there was the time she went out with her little sisters and got all dressed up. Many images of Isabella were deeply imprinted in his eyes. Nathaniel knew she had a boyfriend, and he knew she was very happy, so he never wanted to bother her. He just looked at this girl, who was like a rose to him. From afar, When he discovered by chance that they were actually neighbors, he felt especially lucky, because this way he could be a little closer to her. But he didn't expect that her boyfriend, who had been with her for several years, would also betray their relationship. He watched as the garbage in the doorway opposite his grew larger and larger. There was a messy pile of things like wine bottles, paper cranes, and scarves. It was as if he could feel his rose slowly withering, but she was quite strong. She quickly adjusted. When he saw her again, Nathaniel began to get to know her. After hearing this, I was overwhelmed with emotion. I guessed that Nathaniel might have a crush on me, but I didn't realize that he had been quietly paying attention to me for such a long time. A flood of bittersweet and joyful emotions welled up in my heart. All kinds of complex emotions intertwined. My heart, which had been hurt by Alexander for some time, seemed to be slowly healing. Nathaniel, thank you. I thought about it for a long time, but I decided to tell you this. You are very brave. You can tell me your thoughts directly, but I have just ended an unhappy relationship. I have no plans to start a new relationship for the time being. I am not completely indifferent to him, but because of that, we need to take things slowly. Get to know each other better. Wait for the right moment to come together naturally, instead of doing what we're doing now, trying to mend our hearts. Trying to get rid of the bad impression, Alexander left as soon as possible by hastily agreeing to him. Nathaniel seemed to have expected my answer. He let out a long sigh and said, I guessed it. Isabella, this is good. This is the real you. I won't give up easily until you are willing to open your heart to me. I will wait patiently. As long as you need me, I will come to you at once. I hope the rose can bloom freely, whether it is willing to leave a little fragrance for me, whether it is willing to stay by my side for a moment. I will always follow it. Looking at Nathaniel's smiling eyes, my heart softened a little. I returned a more sincere and warm smile. Failed relationships have not made me lose faith in love. Instead, they have made me grow faster. I have always believed. Treat others sincerely, and you will meet equally sincere and good people. I have been with Nathaniel for more than half a year. He has always maintained an appropriate distance from me. We often eat together and watch movies. We talk about life and dreams. Over time, we have come to know each other better and better, and we have a special understanding. Gradually, I have opened my heart to him. This weekend, Nathaniel asked me to go to the amusement park. I guessed what he had planned. Now, compared to 6 months ago, my mood is very different. This time, I won't hesitate. I dressed up. Then I went out to meet him. I decided to accept his confession and start a new chapter of life with him. My future is still long. It will be a beautiful and bright road.